Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to week. Is it 10?
You got it. 10.
4 and 6,
11.
week 10. Flying high with the birds. Philadelphia Eagles talk. With me are the usual. The Armenian Hammer.
Hi,
What's up,
guys.
Vahe? The Big V. Beluch. What's up?
What's up, guys?
All right, Mr. Wilby Hunting. Sealy, what's up, dude? Soon to
going
be
on?
married, Sealy. You better get
Yeah.
some good predictions here.
Couple more days.
Countdown's on, Will.
Couple more days.
Yep.
Then I ain't going nowhere. You're stuck with me.
And I am Arm and Hammer. So this was a real shock. The Eagles defeat the Denver Broncos 30-13. Some highlights. Boston Scott and Jordan Howard combined for 160 yards rushing in this game. It's going to be some very interesting discussion today about, when Miles Sanders comes back, which looks like it's this week. What are we going to do? Devontae Smith with 2 touchdown catches, and one was a beautiful pirouette move around the Broncos' first-round pick, Patrick Surtain Jr. The defensive backs, for the most part, were able to contain their tall wide receivers, which really was great. Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. Dallas Goedert, which is something that we have to keep our eye on, is very questionable this week with a head injury. Darius Slay with a great game and a scoop and score fumble that really put the game away. Kayvon Wallace with a blocked field goal. That was really helpful. On the negative side, Derek, it's always freaking me. Barnett with 2 more penalties. That makes 6 penalties and 2 sacks. I will give him credit for the sack because he played hard. And lastly, I thought the Eagles played solid in the red zone. So, Vahe, I'm going to start with you because all we talked about when we weren't on this thing and texting was the line. What did the line tell you about this game?
The line told me is that the Eagles going to win. It was unbelievable because the thing is that if you look at the stats, Denver went to Dallas and they blew them out, right? And then the Eagles, they never win in Denver. And for some reason, the line was like 2.5. And that was like really shocking. And you kept saying, Armin kept saying that they're missing players. But still, 2.5 points. And then it kept going down. Game time was even. It was like really shocked. So that's the only reason I picked the Eagles, because of the line, nothing else.
Genius, you are. Genius, anybody?
No, it's not a genius. Just look at the line.
We're going to get another subscriber because of that great prediction. It'll be number 3.
You're going to be giving out picks in another couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know. And everybody's going to be listening now.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it really made a lot of sense. But the thing immediately that I was aware of, they were without 3 offensive line starters. So before we anointed defensive line that they had a great game, they had backups in there for most of the positions on the defensive line, and I think that obviously hurt their run game. So
You got to beat the guys on the field. They had over 200 yards rushing again.
Yeah, they
You
did.
gotta give them credit.
They did.
They kept running the rock.
Yeah. Now, Jimmy, I'm going to go to you now. Where's Miles Sanders going to fit in now? If with this running attack, is he going to be the starter this week? Now let's say that he is. He's definitely going to be playing if he's there on Sunday, and they'll have 4 running backs, which they probably would. Where will he be in the pecking order here?
I think they'll sprinkle him in. I think they're going to start with Scott, what they've been doing the past few weeks. Sprinkle in a little Sanders, a little Howard. I think Gainwell's the odd man out, just because he's the rookie. He's still learning the whole blocking scheme. And can you afford to have 4 active running backs to start for Sunday? But I'm not sure. But I think Gainwell would be the odd man out. That's just what I think, and I think they'll go with Scott, Sanders, and Howard.
Well, we can't hear you. You're
Muted.
You're
Hey,
muted.
Sorry, my
There you
internet
go.
kept going out.
Okay.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think you're right though. I think Gainwell is the odd man out. But could we really give Boston Scott more carries than Sanders? Like if it wasn't for how Sirianni was calling plays at the beginning of the season, Sanders could have done just as much as they're doing now. If, in my opinion, I think he would do better. So I really think, this week I would give him the touches he deserved, like in the beginning of the season, because I honestly think, like, if we're running the ball, him and Howard are like awesome complement to one another. Like Jordan Howard's great for short yardage, and Sanders, I mean, he can do a lot more than just run the ball. I know he's getting a lot of backlash for him catching the ball, but he can do it. And I really wouldn't take carries out of his hands if he's available.
I think Boston Scott and Jordan Howard kind of run the same way, and I kind of agree that they have a little bit of a change of pace in there if they put Miles Sanders in there. But the one thing with Scott is that he's got very good hands out of the backfield. I'll tell you, I get this feeling that the odd man out is going to be Boston Scott. I mean, Howard's got to be a big part of it. If Miles plays a lot, it's going to take away carries from somebody else. So
I just think, though, the way they're using Gainwell now, that they're running the ball, you really don't see him much. So I just think he's going to just be completely useless. Like the next, Sanders comes back. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
San-
This reminds me of the three-headed monster we had back in the early 2000s with Staley, Buckholder, and Westbrook.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think Sanders should get more carries than Scott, but you really can't take Scott out of like his role completely because he's so effective right now. And Howard is very effective now too. The only one that you don't see much is Gainwell, so that's why I would think he's the odd man out.
yeah, no.
More important, the lineman is unbelievable. The way they open they part the seat,
Anybody can run through that.
anybody can run through that.
Well, I was telling Will today, I took 2 long looks at the game on Game Pass. Jack Driscoll was the right guard. His name wasn't mentioned, but he was a beast that entire game. And obviously, Dickerson, what he could do. He's amazing too. But Driscoll is something else. And between him and Herbig, and think about this, both of them were cut at the beginning of the year and then put on, I think they were both cut and then put on the practice squad. Boy, it's a really good thing that neither of them was picked up. I think Jack Driscoll's going to be the reason why Brandon Brooks is probably going to be trade bait at the end of the year, or maybe even, before the end of the year. So I'm more and more impressed with Driscoll, and he really gets down the field too on the screen blocks as well. So I think that offensive line, you're right, is really good now.
What impressed me the most was their condition. It was, it looked like they got stronger as the game went on, whether they hydrated all week and ate the proper nutrition, like Sirianni was saying. I was very impressed with their conditioning on Sunday. I thought that was going to be the downfall of them.
Well, it's funny. Speaking of conditioning, and I'm going to pose this to Will, defensively on the line, where's Hargrave been? I haven't seen much out of him recently.
I don't know. That's a big question because he was so effective the first few weeks, and then you really just saw it die down. What I would think, this is just a thought of mine, Cox was getting a lot of double teams in the beginning of the year, and then they really started moving away from him because he wasn't doing anything. I think Hargrave's pulling more of the double teams now, and now you're seeing not too much production out of him.
You still don't see any very much production out of Cox, and I watched that game. He obviously was probably Cox's best game, but he only had 3 good plays. And how many plays did he play in the game? He gets turned around quite a bit, and he gets single teamed all the time. So I do agree that Hargrave is probably getting double team more, but he might be beat a little bit from the season because he had such a good season at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and he was out all last year, right? Or for a good portion of last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, he hasn't played ball in a year, so, and the preseason. We just really had our practices. It was a real short preseason, so his condition's probably wearing on him now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now let's go back to the offense. And Vahe, I'm going to give this to you because I know that you're having a hard time anointing this guy. But after two good games, do you think it might be time to anoint Hurts as our quarterback of the future?
I don't know the long term, but at least this year and maybe next year too. What I would do is basically is that finally, Sirianni recognized to put people in a position for them to succeed. In the beginning, he was just trying to see what is the best system in his mind and see whether they can perform. He finally realized that he doesn't have the quarterback can drop back and throw like 50 times. So what it is that, okay, I have a very good line, right? Let's run the ball and get the pressure off first. And see, I mean, they've been winning. I mean, they could have won that Charger game if it wasn't for the defense. So I don't know whether he's a franchise quarterback, but he's managing the game well. And the kid has heart. So give him another year and see what happens. I mean, why are you going to yank him and then, I mean, and do what? Do what? I mean, start all over again? I mean, at least things start moving now.
Yeah, I'm starting to see him do things that he wasn't doing at the beginning of the season. One in particular was that pass he completed to Goddard when Goddard got hurt.
Mhm.
He actually climbed the ladder on that in the pocket and actually went to his left and threw against the grain on the left-hand side of Goddard, which was a beautiful pass. So I think the accuracy is starting to get there too, and I think he is getting more confident. And I think he's a tremendous, to me, he's a great game manager too. I think he does everything. And, you know, he always puts the game on him. If it's always his fault if they lose, and if they win, it's a team thing. So that's what I like about him too.
Yeah, I love that about it. I love that about a leader too. That's what you want. Take the blame. You take the blame when you lose, and when you win as a team.
You want to. He's the type of guy you want to root for. He really.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The main thing, don't you think the run has a lot to do? Like maybe they're able to do a lot more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Jimmy, I'm going to ask you this. Did you notice, you know, how Hurts, you know, can run and really make things happen?
Mhm.
Denver had the blueprint on his running in the second half. He wasn't able to do anything at all. He only had, in the second half, he only threw 3 passes. I know that. But when he ran, they had him hemmed in. And he made that one really nice play around the right side in the fourth quarter to get the first down by the goal line. But he was very, very lucky to get that. I'm just wondering if the defensive coordinators are going to start to find a blueprint on his running.
There was a guy who was spying him. There was one of the linebackers who was constantly spying him.
And he kept constantly missing too. It was horrible.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's what it
didn't-
is.
yeah.
They're going to start spying him. They're going to put a player, especially linebacker, to spy him because the thing is that they realize they can't just let him run loose.
I agree.
We got to give a lot of credit to Sirianni too, because his offensive play call in the last few weeks has been excellent. This is the strength of the team. This is our identity. And, you know, he's really taken advantage of it. He knows that Hurts isn't that, you know, big time passer, but he's still getting great production out of him. And it's good to see. That's really all I wanted.
Well, you know, it was something I was telling Will this when they were playing, I think, San Diego 2 weeks ago on the Q&A show with Jason Avant and Quentin Michael on Inside the Birds podcast. Michael was saying that he was actually sitting with his son behind the Eagles bench. And when the offense came off the field and Sirianni went over to the bench and he was talking to somebody in the offense, somebody behind him said, "You got to start running the ball." And Sirianni turned to the guy and said, "We are running the ball." I like that.
I love
You
that
know?
attitude. I love the attitude. Just like at the end of the game where the dude, the bonehead who threw the flowers at him, he came, put his head out of the tunnel and looked at the guy. I love that.
I have
like
to admit that.
passion.
Yeah, I do too. And I really, that was really lame. And I hope
felt
they
bad
caught
for
that
him.
guy.
That's a bonehead move by that man.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely all.
The dude, you know, the dude was into the game. He's the coach of the team. He was fighting for us, arguing with the refs, showing passion. And then you do a stupid thing like that. You throw a bouquet of flowers at him, whatever it was. That's stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, Jimmy, I'm going to ask you this. Let's talk about a player we hardly have ever talked about on this podcast. Avante Maddox, do you think he's kind of coming into his own as a slot corner?
I mean, I think he is. I do. I kind of think he is. You know, this whole season, you know, I just want everyone to improve. I want to see improvement week to week, and that's what this whole season's all about, in my opinion. I want to find out who our players are. What's our identity going to be? And
That's a good point.
that's what I want to find out about this season. And that's
Well-
why I keep reiterating, like, I would still go heavy in and I don't mean to talk about the draft, but I would love for them to go, they get all three of these picks, load up on D. Get three of the top 18,
Exactly.
whatever it is. Load up on it. Get that swag back.
Well, they need an edge rusher.
Edge
Number one.
rusher and a linebacker. Start
Yeah.
linebacker. Those are the two definitely need.
Well, yeah, but I'll tell you, I think they kind of got their linebackers right now. Davion
Davion
Taylor,
yeah.
I'm liking him more and more. I mean, he's starting to get more acclimated and starting to see where the plays are going. He had 2 strips, and he was responsible for that strip fumble that Slade returned for a touchdown. So he's really, really fast, and I think him and TJ Edwards make a really good combination back there at linebacker. So maybe they got something there. I don't know. But let's stay on the defense real quick, Will. Do you think it's possible that Mr. Jonathan Gannon may have began to find his defensive identity?
I hope so, but I don't know because we just really haven't faced a good quarterback yet. So I don't know if he's going to play scared like he has all year.
Well,
That's
we
really-
thought, right, but we thought that he was going to play back with Bridgewater quarterbacking because, you know, he don't throw the ball deep, and he did a lot of press coverage.
You're
did.
right. You're right. But this is something that, you know, hasn't been brought up enough. They didn't have their offensive coordinator this week.
Who? Denver?
Denver.
I
He
didn't
was
know
out.
that.
He
He
was
had
out.
COVID,
Yeah.
so they had somebody else calling the plays.
That's a good point. I did not realize that.
And how much is it Sirianni telling them, you know, yo, maybe maybe Sirianni's making the adjustments.
Yeah.
We don't, you know.
And I don't know yet.
Gannon's got to
The
show
answer-
me a lot over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually unfortunate because we don't really play a top quarterback the rest of the season pretty much.
Yeah.
So we could go into next year still not knowing, and then the same thing could happen next year. But I hope so, because back-to-back weeks, this is how we're playing, and we look better. So maybe he'll realize that if you play this way, you play aggressive, you switch up your coverages, you know, you can be successful. Time will tell.
Yeah. And then again, in his defense, they played against some really good quarterbacks beginning of the year. So,
They did.
you know, in his defense. So,
But we also saw the defense they were in and that they never changed.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
our defense,
no, who
Right.
knows?
No, that's a good point. All right, with that, let's go to this week's game against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 5-4. The Eagles beat them last year. They lost last week 23-21 to the Tennessee Titans in a very hard-fought game. They played that game without some major pieces. Alvin Kamara being the main guy. He's questionable this week with the knee, so even if he plays, he may not be 100%. I'll tell you, I watched that game in its entirety, and I really like that team. Sean Payton really has them up, you know, ready to play. They're very good run defense. When I saw them on Game Pass, the one guy that really impressed me was their Mike linebacker, Demario Davis. He's all over the field, blitzes. He reminds me of a more energized Davion Taylor. So he's a guy that you have to look out for. But, you know, there's no more Drew Brees. There's no Michael Thomas. Jameis Wilson was the starting quarterback, and now he's out for the year. Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill are now the quarterbacks. Both of them play, but Simeon's the main guy. And obviously Taysom Hill is a change of pace quarterback. So let's start with Vahe again. You know what the line is. So what is that line telling you?
The line's telling me is it's going to be a very close game. And unfortunately, this week it's in the Saints line. I thought it's going to be maybe at least 3 points for the Eagles being at home. But 1.5, it just tells you that basically they're favoring the Saints because home team's supposed to get a 3 points. So most probably I'll pick the Eagles, but it's going to be like maybe 23-21 or
Wait, 24-21. You normally pick 24-21 by.
I'm making it closer, 23-21. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be
Why? Because
close.
of that point. Because of the
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah, because the thing is, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles lose because the line's just basically telling you that, it's not the sure thing for the Eagles.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Now that brings me to my next question, Jimmy, and this is really going to be important. The Eagles overloaded, the run to pass ratio has been so wacky. At the beginning, it was all pass. The last couple games, it's a lot more run. With this run defense, now they're really focusing on the run, and they're probably going to have 4 running backs for this game. With the Saints' extremely tough run defense, do you see a more balanced run to pass ratio this week?
That's what I would say. I mean, I just hope they just don't get all pass happy again, because if the run don't work in the beginning. But I'd say
If they go pass happy, they're losing.
yeah,
Nope.
that's what I'm afraid of.
Is
They
it-
stick to the run, pound the rock, And that
Tennessee
opens up
struggled
the-
running the ball on them, but then again, Henry's been out, and they've been going with they went with 2 other guys. They didn't have a lot of success. But I'll tell you, New Orleans is a team that you got to play the whole 48 minutes. They played extremely tough the last part of the fourth quarter, and they really wanted to win that game. And they had a chance to tie it in the 2-point conversion,
Yeah,
but they had an offsides penalty, which pushed them back, and that really pissed Peyton off a lot because they had a specific play to gain those 3 yards, and that really threw them off. So with all the players they were missing, that was important. But well, let's talk about Kamara for a second. He means so much to that team. What does he bring to that team if he is on the field on Sunday?
Brings a lot of versatility. He's excellent out of the backfield, which poses a lot of threats to defenses, especially ours, with some indecisive linebackers. They're getting better, but they're still indecisive, and they're a little late to some reads. But he's a dual threat. He can attack you through the air, and he's great running the ball too. So you gotta make sure you wrap up this week because he'll be running loose all week.
yeah, he can get 10 catches for 100 yards and rush for 100 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll do it all. And their quarterback is going to be relying on him because he's not the starter, and he really that's what they have. That's all they have.
I'll tell you, Trevor Siemian looked pretty good. I think he's he definitely belongs in the NFL. Throws in the really nice ball. Most of his passes are, short to intermediate range, which is something that you don't want to see when you're playing the Eagles. But I think for all intents and purposes, he's a lot like Bridgewater is because he's the same type of quarterback. Maybe the only difference is that Siemian would probably tackle the guy that recovers the fumble instead of letting him go.
Ooh,
So-
wow.
That might be because he did get his nose in there in a couple plays, whereas the guy last week that
Maybe
was the
that's why
funniest.
the line is 1.5.
Yeah,
that was
If he
maybe.
wasn't a good tackler, it would have been a 3.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if you guys saw that play, but was that the funniest thing seeing
That was a
him
business decision.
that's what
Exactly.
they said. But all he had to do was push him into the guy on the other side of him. He would have been down. And that was a big play because they were driving for the tying score. So if they would have had him tackled, and that was around
Right.
the 50-yard
They have
line.
him pinned still, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think because he's never played a full season because of so many injuries that he stayed away from the tackle because of that?
Yeah, that's very possible. And I'm not sure if Drew Lock was available for the game. So maybe they didn't want him to get hurt. I don't know.
Yeah,
Slick
you
was
can't-
good.
everybody's making a big deal about it. I mean, the thing is that he's a quarterback. He's not a big guy. And Will is right. I mean, the thing is, if he gets injured, and then what? So
Yeah,
Not
but
for-
Supposedly, he was pointed out in the video on Monday. They pointed Bridgewater out, like, that's how you don't tackle.
that was
pointed him out.
when they had the first replay from the side, I noticed it right away. It was almost like he wanted him to score. I never
And
saw anything
Slay
like
threw,
that.
Slay threw him under the bus at the end of the game. He's like, "That's my boy." He's like, "You can't tackle me, you know that." And Bridgewater's like, "Yeah, I know." He didn't help matters by telling that story.
Yeah.
But supposedly in
shame.
Denver's video, day after, video session, the coach made it a point to like, that's not how you tackle.
No, that's a really good point. Hey, Will, do you see this being a low-scoring game? Or do you see a lot of points?
I
What's
see a lot
the
of
line
points.
telling you?
The line's telling me there's going to be a lot of points on one side.
On one side?
It's going to be a blowout.
Damn.
Well, no,
Wow.
listen, Vahe and I are used to that, Will, because you guys are front runners. So that's okay. I'm fine with
I'm
that.
excited. Look how much better the podcast is after they win.
Oh, I know.
Great.
No, look how stupid it makes the younger guys look when they win, because they're always picking the other team. So,
Well, the younger guys have been right a lot more than the older guys.
yeah, kind of. So, but that's a long season and they're still available to make the playoffs, and they got all losing teams except for
Oh,
this
Wait a minute,
week's
I have
game.
2 wins. What do you mean we have more wins? I have 2 wins already.
Yeah, no,
based on scores, but we've picked the Eagles to lose every week, so
yeah, that's true. Another thing I wanted to point out real quick before we do our predictions is, did you guys notice, like, when they would be on the sideline, it just seems like Jalen Reagor is kind of like not really on the same page with the receiver / quarterback room. I saw a couple times when on the sideline you see Hurts, Smith, and Watkins all together, and even Greg Ward was with him. Jalen Reagor's nowhere around there. So is he like MIA? Like every week it's getting to the point where I think they're going to make him inactive eventually because he's not doing anything except losing yards.
That's a
Yeah, that was
first
a
round
bad
pick,
pick.
too.
he's
That was a
not
bad
he's not
pick.
what we expected he would be. He's
No.
not producing. He's not getting separation. He's a bad route runner, and he's
And
really
he can't block. He gets
he can't
pushed
block.
around all the time. You're correct about he did make a really nice catch on the sideline. He's got good hands. I think he's a real good 50-50 ball guy, but they never throw the ball to him.
Yeah, he needs a lot of work. But can we talk about somebody else besides him?
No,
How about JJ Arcega-Whiteside? What does he do for this team besides block?
He's a great blocker.
Crap. I don't draft you to block. I saw him get hurt. He was getting taken off the field. I was cracking up laughing. Like, what
He's
does
a
he
great
do?
blocker on those bubble screens.
And he's boys with the owner's son.
Things.
Yeah,
Why?
that's true.
Look, I want to give Reagor all the crap I can because he just stinks. But why are we forgetting about Arcega-Whiteside? He's the worst receiver ever. He shouldn't even be labeled a wide receiver. He should just be labeled a tackle or a guard. Like, what? Doesn't do anything for this team.
He will be, I bet you he's inactive this week when they bring Sanders back. No doubt in my mind. All right, real quick, let's go to the predictions last week. Will was 21-17 Broncos. Jimmy, 27-14 Broncos. Armin, 24-21 Broncos. Vahe, 27-21 Eagles. So without further ado, Vahe, you have 2 in the book. You are now behind the Big V just by 1. It's 3-2 to 1-1. So it's getting real close. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this week's predictions are going to be, once again, possibly all over the place. So Vahe, I will start with you.
I'm still going to go with the Eagles.
Remember, one guy's picking a blowout. I just wanted to tell you. So go ahead.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be no. Even though the line says 1.5, and usually 1.5 for the home team means that the road team is going to be favored to win. I'm going to go with the Eagles just because I'm a homer, and 30-21.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't see that coming. Jimmy?
We got to win a home game at some point, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Saints 27-20.
Okay. Well,
Man, there's definitely going to be a blowout.
Why you
I'm
say
thinking-
that? Based
I
on
just-
what?
The line.
Based on we're home and we need a win, and we're rolling these next 2 weeks. So I'm
Go
thinking
ahead.
33-17 Eagles.
Whoa!
Oh, you're
17.
picking the
Look
Eagles.
at that.
Wow.
All right.
Let's go.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, for next week's podcast, have that bag ready.
Nah.
I'm going to end it with, I'm going to say that Peyton is definitely going to have this team ready to play. They lost an ugly game last year against the Eagles. I can't see them losing 2 in a row to the Eagles. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, kind of low scoring. I'm going to go 2017 Saints. So we got 2 Eagles, 2 Saints. We actually have we have 1 Eagles, 2 Saints, and 1 blowout Eagles.
You guys will all be eating crow next week.
Yeah, I know. Okay, no problem. But any final thoughts on anything? Like a certain player, or
I'm
I
impressed.
won't bring up Jalen Reagor. What about Tyree Jackson, that great blocking tight end that Howie Roseman said was his diamond in the rough? Did
Yes.
you see him get knocked on his ass when they were in 13 personnel that time and they ran around the end and you see him laying down? I don't like his pass patterns. I watched him. He runs an ugly pass pattern, so I'm just hoping he's a good 50-50 ball guy.
Hey,
So,
how about the special teams the last 2 weeks? They've really stepped up for this team.
yeah, the block by Wallace was huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 wins off block field goals.
Yeah.
Good
But
W.
But you know what? Dallas Goedert does not play this week. That's really, I bet you this game goes down to pick 'em if Goddard's ruled out. I would bet, because he's so valuable. I mean, what's Hurts going to do? Just throw to 1 player? I don't know.
Yeah, they're
Right.
going to keep running. They're going
What do
to
you guys think of Watkins?
Yeah, he dropped that ball. It should have been a touchdown.
I think he's coming down to earth after that tremendous, camp that he had. And I remember one of the guys in WIP, Ike Reese, had said, just wait until they have number 1, DB1s covering him. He won't get anything. And that's kind of what's happening. But he still gets his catches. He gets his maybe 3 catches. I don't know if he's a long-term answer as the 2 receiver, because
think
right
he-
now, I mean, the number 1 guy is miles ahead of everybody.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
He's only
Yeah.
going to get better.
Yeah.
I think Quez is kind of, to me, seems like a one-trick pony. Just goes deep. I think he was real productive early in the season because we were doing a lot of those quick screens to him, so he was getting some easy yardage. But after we started running the ball, he's just really not getting open on any routes besides running deep.
No, that's true. No, I notice that a lot. I will say this about Avante Maddox. He's a great tackler. I mean, he really completes tackles better than, any defensive back I've seen in a long, long time. I think he's really, standing out. And I posed a question to Reuben Frank earlier, and I asked him if Jannard Avery is going to be the long-term solution as the strong side linebacker / 5th, defensive lineman. I don't know. The jury's still out on him, but he plays hard. Barnett, I have to admit, Barnett plays hard too. There's guys that don't play hard. Cox does not play hard. I think Hargrave takes plays off too. But I think that, if Teron Jackson plays hard, Milton Williams plays hard. Barnett does play hard. He's just stupid and he makes stupid mistakes. But, you can see who's playing hard and who's not playing hard, especially when you're looking at Game Pass. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Sirianni, man, he learned his lesson. I'm impressed. The thing is that he realized that what he was trying to do at the beginning of the season is not going to work. And, he went against his, better judgment, and then it's working. The run makes it go. I mean, if it wasn't for the run, they would never win a game.
But they're playing a great run defense. They're ranked 3rd, and they really should be better.
It's the same thing about the Denver Broncos too, right?
But they were hurt. They had players hurt. They didn't have, I can't remember the linebacker, the rookie that they got from North Carolina State, or the 2nd-year guy. and they were missing, I think, a defensive back too. So they were hurting all across the board.
Man,
My last question
Marietta
is,
and Dickerson, they're humongous.
yeah, no, I'll tell you, I love Dickerson, and I'll tell you, watching Dickerson and Driscoll, when I saw, and even Lane Johnson played good, but when you see those guards, how hard they played, I think you even notice center more. I mean, Jason Kelsey is a beast. I mean, running downfield, like catching up to the younger guys. You could see he wants to be out there. So, you know, I like him a lot. But we're going to leave it on this. We all need to know as a team here. Will it be an Acme bag or a ShopRite bag next week?
You guys can laugh all you want.
All right, I'll bring one in
Hopefully.
Monday. I'll bring.
Whole Foods.
Yeah, I got a few of them. I'll make the cutouts for the ears and the eyes and everything. Okay.
The last podcast before Will's big day, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, wait a minute.
Are we doing one next? Are we doing one next week?
One before the big day.
Yeah. The day right before he gets married, we're all going to tell that was your best podcast ever. So if you're nervous, don't worry about it. Your podcast was great, man. I'll tell you. So, all right, let's wrap this up. Week 10. I forget what our podcast is called again. Flying High with the Birds for all 2 or 3 guys that have subscribed to our podcast. Philadelphia Eagles Talk. Thanks again.
See you guys.
Later.
Yeah.